Hey, what's up, guys? Got another new video here for you. This is Tuned In Sports. My name is Bryson.
I'm Bennett.
And I'm Steve.
And so today we've got the weekly NBA update video for you. From now on, from this day forward, those videos will be coming out Monday night. That is the plan. So this week, I know we're a little bit late scheduling. I mean, it didn't end up panning out this week. That's going to happen some weeks, but regularly expect it Monday night for this video. But anyway, as you can see, I'm here and Bennett's here and Steve's here. Don is not joining us for this video, so as a result of that, we are going to focus primarily on the Thunder as well as the Clippers in this video. If you guys would like to hear more breakdowns and thoughts on both the Nuggets and the Detroit Pistons, make sure you check out the Dent Sports weekly video. They also are doing their content, and those videos will generally be dropping Tuesday night or Wednesday morning. So make sure that you check out their page for Denver and Detroit sports for basketball and the other sports as well. But anyway, we're going to focus primarily on the Clippers and the Thunder in this video, and we're going to go ahead and start it off with the Clippers. I know that they have, performed at a pretty high level since the last time that we did a video about them, but they've also gone against some really tough teams. So yeah. Unfortunately, they got a couple of losses on the way to where they're at now, but
yeah.
Not against any slouches.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's been a lot of factors that have gone into some of the losses that we've had. Like for instance, this recent game against the Jazz that we got completely toasted. We were missing 4 of our starters. So really, do you expect any different? I mean, I wouldn't. But, especially with the way the Jazz are playing this year, they're proving themselves to be a pretty
serious,
good contender. Pretty big contender in the playoffs here. Yeah, but then once we got Paul and Kawhi back again and played the Jazz again, we ended up beating them. So, it was nice to have a bounce back win and not get swept in the series because we've already lost to them twice this year.
So you lost 3 times to them?
No, 2.
Oh, okay. 2. You played them 3 times as well?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So, that's that. But, besides that, it was unfortunate losing to the Nets yesterday. And especially in the fashion that we did. It was just ridiculous. I thought for sure that call on Harden was, the call on Kawhi that would have, possibly given us the lead or tied the game. Offensive foul, and they give Harden the call. It's like, come on, man. This guy doesn't play defense whatsoever. So, really, if you're going to give anybody a call, it shouldn't be him. Not when it matters the most. So, yeah, that's that. But, it was nice also to start the week with a win against the Heat with a lot of injuries. We were pretty, missing a lot of guys for that game as well, and we ended up pulling out the win. So, that was nice. But, overall, it's been a pretty productive week for the Clippers. They've had some injury problems, but they've shown up in a couple games that they needed to show up in, so can't really complain.
Yeah, and I think it's just like we talked about, or I've mentioned in football a number of times, is I think, all these injuries and stuff are going to turn out to be a good thing come playoff time because all these people that are just kind of sitting on the bench, not getting a lot of minutes, they're, getting playing time right now. And, may not matter too much right now, but down the stretch, if you need somebody, you're not going to have a bunch of people that are gun shy, which is one of the things that I feel like was a problem last year for the Clippers, really, is that, when it got down the stretch and they needed people to come in and make plays and stuff, a good portion of the people on the team weren't ever seeing the floor at all. I mean, hell, even in that series against the Nuggets, I think they ran like a 7 or 8 man rotation. Yeah. So, I mean, it just like you got a lot of guys just kind of sitting around, not doing anything. And, that's not a problem because it is a problem, but it's also not, because part of the reason why it's like that way is because they're so deep. They're such a deep team. But in some respects, that can kind of come back to hurt you because you're so deep and you got so many players at each position that some of your young players that you're drafting and stuff, you're not really getting to evaluate them because all they do is sit on the bench and then come out when the game's a blowout or something. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how they're supposed, like for instance, Kabengele, you know what I mean? Like how is anybody supposed to know if he has any ability or skill or anything? I mean, yeah, practice, but he's not seeing the floor ever. I don't even know. I mean, I think they put him in the G League, as a matter of fact. But yeah. But I'm just using him as an example. Somebody like that, with him just filling a seat on the bench for the whole season, you're never going to realize his potential until he's beating you over the head on another team.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I honestly am a huge Amir Coffey fan. I think he's a pretty serious player, and when he's had the chance to play, he's really showed his stuff. I mean, same thing I can say for Terrence Mann. Those two young guys are really proving that they, they deserve some minutes. I think Amir Coffey is kind of getting the, short end of the stick. I mean, I think he deserves some minutes with how he's played. So, I mean, it's...
Yeah, but that's what I said, though, is like, I mean, how's he going to see the minutes without, what are you going to do,
sit Morris? I mean, that's the tough thing about it.
Yeah, what are you going to do? Tell, Luke Kennard, who you just traded for, hey, we think Terrence Mann is a good option out here.
Yeah, I mean, the sad part about Luke Kennard, though, is he hasn't been playing recently because of injury problems. Yeah. I'm hoping, but he's having a hell of a year this year. I think he's shooting a career highs in 3-point range and field goal percentage. So, I mean, he's playing pretty good and fitting well with this team. So, and I feel like he just is a good fit for this team in general.
Well, I think a lot of that is because he's never had the open looks that he's getting right now, because he's never played with a Kawhi and Paul George and some of these guys. I mean, he was pretty much the main option on the Pistons. Here, he's just another guy in a jersey. So he gets way more open looks because you're not going to leave Paul open so that you can double team Luke Kennard. I mean, no. You're just not going to do that. So he ends up having somebody that maybe if he was on the Pistons wouldn't be guarding him. He might draw the number one defender. Whereas on this team, he's getting just whoever's left, pretty much, so he can flourish a little bit more. So,
yeah.
But I mean, I really think, I mean, like you said, Terrence Mann, Amir Coffey, I mean, these guys, that when they go out there, they show some promise, but they're not getting any minutes. And if I was them, if that you can play.
Well, they've been giving Terrence Mann minutes since Kennard's been out.
Well, yeah, but that's only because of injuries. So, I mean, if I was them, I don't know, especially this year if they win a championship or something, I might say, well, I'm going to go somewhere where I can see the floor a little bit more. So, it's kind of hard, but, I mean, they're deep. They're a deep team, so.
Yeah. All these things you're talking about are not problems.
No, exactly.
They're good things.
It's a good problem to have. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, you got quality people sitting on your bench. I mean, that's what you want.
Yep.
Agreed. And if somebody decides they want to leave, hey, more power to them. But, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. And sometimes, staying put and knowing your role is a better option.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I would like to mention about, the Nets game just recently that we lost, we only had 3 guys in double-digit scoring. I mean, that's not necessarily very good.
The bigger question I want to know about that game is why was Paul George on the bench in the last 2 minutes?
They said it was minutes restrictions.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
That's what they said it was.
That's ridiculous. If that's their answer, buff you. You don't lose that game because why would you bother playing so tough, be in that game, just so you can say we're taking you out? Bullshit. Not that game. You want to do it against the Pacers? Go ahead. Not against the Nets, who is one of the guys you might see in the finals if you get there. Chances are you will see them.
Yeah, with the way
coming out of the East. Come on. If that's what they're using as an excuse, buff you.
Well,
buff you and your minutes restrictions.
Nothing.
You don't play that hard the whole game. Claw your way back into it. Have a chance to win at the end, and then pull your best scorer off the floor.
They found a way.
That's ridiculous.
They found a way to do it.
Buff you, Bidrich, on that one.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, nothing really surprises me, to be honest.
That is ridiculous. I cannot even believe you just told me that.
I can believe it. Nothing surprises me anymore. Hell, I watched my team pull their quarterback in the fourth quarter of a game, because they were coaching to win. So that's pretty much the same thing.
Yep.
That's coaching to win.
Yeah, that's just sad state of affairs right there. That's total ridiculousness.
Yeah. But, overall...
Those are statement games. Those games are big games. Those games are games that you want to win that game.
Yeah.
And the Clippers have, for whatever reason, every time they play really good teams, they have a hard time winning them.
They beat a lot of good teams this year.
Yeah, but they lose a lot of big games as well. They lose. You act like they don't lose games. They lose plenty. And that's a game that you had a chance to win and you should win.
Yeah. So,
in my opinion, that was a big mistake, taking him out. So now you just basically said, what about the rest of the guys on the team that played their ass off and tried to win that game? Oh, man, that's just frustrating. That's frustrating.
Well, honestly, I don't think it's going to come back to bite them or anything anyways, because I think that they've got enough talent and everything, and pretty much all season they've looked loads better than they did last year. So I honestly believe that when it comes playoff time and stuff like that, the amount of talent that they have is going to show through, and I think they're going to be a handle for any team. And honestly, I think they're an overall better team than the Nets are anyways. But, it stings to lose games like that, though, for sure.
You can say all you want to that you think they're a better team, but they didn't win the game.
No.
Came down the crunch time, they did not do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's because, they had a chance to win it, but got screwed on an offensive call on Kawhi.
Right, but you can use that as an excuse, but if they were playing that well, they wouldn't have been in that position.
Yeah. Well, they were down by double digits coming into the fourth quarter, so they clawed their way back into it.
Right, I know. But my point is that that's why you don't take Paul George out of the game.
Yeah.
You don't take him out of the game when you got yourself into position to win. If the game wasn't in reach halfway through the fourth quarter, take him out. Fine, I got no problem with that. But when you get to that point where you're in it and you have a chance to win it, and now you're telling the team, oh, I'm going to sit this guy, screw you.
Yeah, well...
Screw you. Anybody that made that decision. Ty Lue, I don't care who it is. Ballmer, you can shove it in your ass as well if you decided that was a good decision. Because you got to win games like that when you get a chance to.
Yeah.
Because that's an important victory for the Nets. Because now they go into the next game going, yeah, we can beat these guys. And let's not forget the fact that KD didn't even play.
Yeah.
So we can sit here and talk all we want to about, oh, we're better than this and that. KD wasn't even playing.
Yeah. Well,
so add his 35 points in there and see what you get.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think it's necessarily a problem with the minutes restrictions because, I mean, all the teams are doing that, but the problem becomes how they're using those minutes. I mean, if they want to do minutes restrictions, that's fine, but have him come in later and then finish the game as opposed to having him come in when you know that he's restricted on minutes and then yanking him before the game is over when you have a chance. And besides that, I mean, it was only 2 minutes. It's not like, oh, well, we didn't want him to, be out there and, because he was going to have to play an additional 10 minutes or something. It was only 2, so I don't really know what the big deal is, but...
That's even if what's being said is truthful.
Well, I was going to say, they probably just throw out anything and say, oh, yeah, that's what it was, okay. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even tell you how frustrating that sounds to me. I mean, that actually pisses me off to think that they would even consider taking him out. In some game that didn't matter, like, well, I realize that this is, regular season, not a big deal, but against some team that you're going to beat them night in and night out anyway, no big deal. But when you're playing teams that you could potentially have to face in a final situation or something, to me, you need to play those games. You need to play those games.
Yeah.
Play to win.
Yeah.
Play to win.
Yeah.
And all this stuff, talk about this, that, the other, and the bad calls, I agree. That was one of the worst things I'd seen. A complete joke that they would give that call to Harden when it was, no doubt, he was riding him before that push-off ever happened. So, I mean, there was definitely a foul committed there. But I'll be honest with you, I mean, that is just ridiculous and, in my opinion, inexcusable coaching. Pathetic.
Yeah.
That's what the fans pay to see. Is big time players play in big time positions in big part of the game. And what do? Oh, we're going to pull him out of the game. Paul George was playing great. 12 of 19 from the field, 34 points. Several assists and multiple rebounds as well.
Yeah.
This is what players like that guy play for. Is those type of situations. Said, no, we're yanking you out of the game.
Yeah.
Good God.
Yeah, well...
You guys opened a can of worms with that game, I'll tell you what.
Well, like I said, at the end of the day, I really don't think it matters. It was just one game. And I think that they got more from, staying in it and having a great chance to win, even with him on the bench, than it's going to hurt them with them doing that. Because when games actually matter, they would never do something like that. So I think it'll end up being inconsequential. But I do agree that it's kind of a head scratcher, to say the least. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. And if it's minutes restrictions and stuff, why would you work it out where his restrictions come right when you would maybe need him the most to actually win a game? Have him sit.
Those are confidence building moments for a team. Winning close games down the stretch is important because when you get to playoffs, you have to be able to do that. And because of the fact that the NBA has got so many crappy teams in it, they don't find themselves in positions that often where they have to actually play at the end of a game. And so, in my opinion, you got down to the end of that game, you're in a tight game, you pull out, definitely one of the two best players on that team, when he's not hurt, and there's no reason not to keep him in for 2 minutes.
He was coming off a toe injury. That's why he had the minutes restrictions.
Right, but come on, you just said it. 2 minutes.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I mean, these are confidence building games. You win that game, that's huge confidence. Yeah, we can play big time basketball when we need to. Instead, you lose it, and all you did was just give the Nets a ton of confidence moving forward when they come to play with you again, because they beat you and they didn't even have KD, who's going to add another 35 or 40 points on the board. So if you're having problems beating this team without Kevin Durant, when he comes back, you're going to be in real trouble.
Yeah.
I just feel like there's so much there's so many things that you can take from that on the positive side if you actually, win that game.
Well, but on the flip side though, even though they lost without KD, but how often do the Clippers have games where only 3 people are in double digits? So that kind of tells me that they weren't shooting the ball very well. And anybody that has a night where they're not shooting well can lose. The Lakers have lost 4 in a row.
Zubac was one of the 3 people that was in double-digit scoring in that game.
Yeah, Paul, and Kawhi were the leading scorers.
The only 3 that had double-digit scoring that game.
Yeah.
Morris only gave us 5 points, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
And he's generally in the 18, 15, 16 range.
Yeah.
Same with Lou.
Well, all the more reason to keep Paul in the game. If you know you're not producing on the offensive side, so what's your answer? I'm going to take out one of the only guys that's having any success scoring the ball tonight. I'm going to take him out so we can lose this game. That's in essence what you told the team.
Yeah.
We're losing this game. We don't care about winning it. And what about the fans that paid all kinds of stupid ass ticket prices and stuff? Not right now because of the COVID, but it wouldn't have made a difference had it been a full stadium. It wouldn't have made a difference. The same call would have been made.
No, it wouldn't have mattered. They would have done it anyways.
They would have done the same thing. So I'm just speaking from a fan standpoint. If I'm a Clippers fan and I've paid my money to go watch this team play, and then to watch you pull the best player on the court at that time out of the game with 2 minutes to play in a close game, I'm hotter than hell.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I don't have a problem with the minutes restrictions if they wanted to do that, but how are you going to let it come down to a thing where you have to yank him out for minutes restrictions at the most crucial point? Couldn't he have set out another 2 minutes in the first quarter when it didn't matter?
No, exactly right.
Then have him at the end when you could come back and win. But, I don't know. Like I said,
I'm the wrong guy to talk to about it because I'm pissed off already about that.
Yeah. Whereas I don't think it really matters.
I'm already steaming because of it. To me, that's just a bullshit answer.
Yeah.
Well, minutes restrictions, we had to pull them out. Okay, screw you. Why don't you refund all the fans their money? And pay them. Give them back their money since you want to make decisions that impact the game and impact why people went to the game. So that's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. I don't care what anybody tells me on that one.
Yeah.
It's complete garbage, in my opinion. Like you said, you want to minutes restrict minutes in the first half.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I think too.
Restrict the minutes in the first half. Who cares? Because apparently you don't care about winning anyways. Otherwise, you wouldn't have pulled them.
Yeah. Well, it makes more sense to have him do that when it doesn't matter, because you got the whole second half to come back. Yep. But personally, I still don't think it matters that much. I get what you're saying, but it's not even the All-Star break yet. So I think they have plenty of time to build confidence and all that other stuff. And I think at the end of the day, they've learned a lot from last season. And when the games start mattering, I think they're going to show up in a big way. So we'll see.
I think so, but you know, it is an unfortunate way to lose, but I mean, at the same time, it's like we said. I mean, to pull them out and still have a chance to win. I mean, that's also a good sign. You know, I think for Morris to come in there, I mean, and you know, take his place, and we end up still having a chance to win in the end if we didn't get screwed by a stupid call with, like, you know, next to no time left. I mean, who's to say that the results aren't different? I mean, if we don't get screwed by that call, we had a lot of momentum, actually.
Yeah.
So it's tough to say what would really have happened, but at the end of the day, you can't change the results. We ended up losing, and that's that. But tonight, we're playing against a hot Wizards team going on a 5-game win streak right now.
Yep.
Playing some good basketball, coming off a win against the Lakers.
Yep, and sorry Clippers fans, but I bet on the Wizards tonight. I'm not saying they're going to win, but I bet on them to cover the spread. So
yeah, I would probably fall in line with you there. I think it's going to be a close game. And
Brody.
I mean, and it seems, from what I've heard, Beal is really enjoying having Westbrook as a teammate. So that's a good sign if you're a Wizards fan.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, because, I mean, it could just as easily go the other way where it's like, well, might be a great teammate, but we're not winning, so I'm out.
Exactly.
I mean, for Westbrook, too, that would suck, because he's now stuck with all the crap in Washington that Bradley Beal couldn't win with the last handful of years. So, I mean,
honestly, I look at that team, and I think they way underperformed. I mean, I think they got a lot of talent. I mean, and I feel like, I mean, especially on their starting 5, I think Hakamara's really good. Bertans is really good. Then you got Westbrook, Beal, and who's the other guy?
J-Rob?
No, I mean, that would be cool if it was J-Rob, but unfortunately it's not. But, you know, I look at that team, and I see I see a playoff team with that roster. I don't look at them and think 12-18 or whatever the hell their record is.
Yeah.
So
I know. I mean, in the season preview, I mean, I picked them to make the playoffs, and right now they're not even close.
I know. I picked them too.
Yeah. So I expected them to potentially be a sleeper pick to be just outside the top, inside the top 5. Yeah. But they're not right now. If they don't get things turned around, they're going to be,
not even going to be in
throwing
the
their balls in the lottery.
I know.
Thingy. So,
yes.
But anyways, let's go ahead and transition to the Thunder now. I think, you know, for the most part, there's not a whole lot to talk about with this team. Losing is the name of the game, and we do it well. I mean, the truth of the matter is that I'm not expecting them to win or anything like that. So, you know, to sit here and pretend like I'm upset or anything like that, I'm not going to, because, I mean, really, there's not much to be upset about, to be honest. This was the direction that the organization decided to go, and until the plan kind of sees itself through and what they want to do or how they work things out with draft picks or trading or whatever works out, you can't really yay or nay it. I mean, honestly, the way that they've done it so far, I appreciate their commitment to trying to do what they set out to do. And so, you know, in a couple of years, if we have a team that's, you know, competing for the NBA Finals and stuff like that, then I'm going to be super, super happy. But until then, it's probably going to be rough. And like I said in last week's video, right now you're just kind of figuring out which of these pieces are pieces that you'd like to keep around and which of these pieces are expendable. We got a lot of young players, and we've got a lot of young players playing big minutes too. For this week, we lost to the Trailblazers, the Grizzlies, the Bucks,
and the Heat.
But then we beat the Cavs. So we were kind of on a losing skid there for a little bit. And, the kind of sad thing about it is that it's not like we were against insanely good teams, but we were just losing left and right. And, But, like I said, not anything that wasn't expecting or anything like that. Shea came back this week, so he's been playing again, which is a good sign for the team. Because, again, with Shea, really, I think he is the point guard of the future for this team. And so really you just want to have him get more experience from playing, because they're not going anywhere this year, but he's still only in his second or third year. So he can benefit from being out there, and to have him out with injury really sucks, because, you're looking at him and, he's probably going to be the future there for the time being. So the fact that he's out with injury, it really sucks, because we're expecting to lose, but what we want to do in the process is evaluate talent. And when our talent is out with injury, well, that sucks. But speaking of talent out with injury, Justin Jackson or Josh Jackson, one of the two just came back from from being injured. So I'm really excited to have him back on the team. He came out actually in his first game and had like 20 points or something. So good performance from him.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
yeah, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm a huge Shea fan. He's playing probably the best basketball of his career right now. He's putting up almost 30 points a game, and it's really insane just how much he's progressed since he came into this league. That guy is seriously. Look for him to be in an all-star game in a couple years. It's kind of hard for him too right now, just because you got guys like the West is just stacked with talent all over the place, like Damian Lillard and all these other guys. It's tough for him to get in there, considering he's playing from Oklahoma.
Yeah. Well, and I read something today that James Harden is a reserve.
Really?
Yeah, for the All-Star game. He's a reserve this year. So if he couldn't make it in, and he's, in the city of Brooklyn, Harlem,
Paul George is a reserve this year.
Yeah, exactly. So if you got guys like that's not making it in, what guy does a dude from Oklahoma have?
Right, exactly.
What chance does he have, So, it's unfortunate, but that's the way that sports are.
It's just a contest. Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
It's a popularity contest, and sometimes just because you might be playing great, but if your name's not LeBron James, you're not getting the credit.
Yeah.
So, that's basically how that one starts and ends.
I was going to say that's pretty much the life of a mid-tier city sports fan, is just getting, the crumbs.
Yep. No, exactly.
Getting screwed out of.
Shea's playing some great basketball, and some point in time he'll be recognized for it, but it's just not right now.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, and last thing that I wanted to mention about this team before we wrap up this video is, it's been kind of unfortunate that Pokuševski's been out, because once again, just like I said before, this is the young talent that we're trying to evaluate moving forward, and these guys are sitting on the bench because they're out with injury, so we're not getting to evaluate them, and we're losing. So we don't even have these young players to get excited about, because none of them are on the floor. We're watching Al Horford run around, but even he's missed more than 10 games now. So George Hill's missed 17 games. He's missed more than half.
I mean, the Thunder actually didn't have that bad of a start to the season. I mean, I think that they were, like, hanging around 500 for, like, the first, you know, around, like, the first, like, 20 games or so.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they weren't doing too bad, but, you know, then they got struck with injuries to Al Horford and all this other stuff, and
yeah, and then we had to
see
play
what that turned into. They've just fallen apart since then.
Yeah, and then we had series against the Lakers and teams like that, and we just took a dive.
Yeah, I mean, you know that we had, like, you got the privilege of losing to us twice early in the year too. So
yeah, exactly. So yeah, we get the privilege of. I think we haven't played the Pistons yet, but that ought to be a freaking banger of a series when that ever happens. Two teams that are in the same boat, pretty much. So.
Yep.
Anything else?
Nope, I ain't got nothing else to say.
No, I've already frustrated. I'm already vented my frustration. I'll leave it at that.
Okie doke. So anyways, if you guys like this video, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe. Make sure that you turn on the notifications so you get an update every time that we post something. Make sure you tune in to Dent Sports and check out their content as well for more stuff on the Nuggets and the Pistons. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching. Bryson.
Bennett.
I'm Steve.
See you guys in the next video.